Life was not easy in the days of Rome. Soldiers patrolled the streets of Jerusalem, their armor catching the harsh midday sun. Families worked from before dawn until long after dark, carrying burdens that never seemed to lighten. Some struggled with illness, others grieved the loss of people they loved, and many quietly wondered how they could keep going when the weight of life pressed down so heavily on their shoulders. Fear was not a stranger to these people. It lived in their homes, walked beside them in the markets, and followed them into their sleep. Then a teacher named Jesus began walking through the villages of Judea, and something began to change. People left their work to follow him along dusty roads, drawn by something they could not fully explain. Among those who gathered one afternoon was a man sitting alone at the edge of the road. His clothes were worn, his face lined with exhaustion, and his eyes carried the look of someone who had been fighting a losing battle for far too long. When Jesus drew near, the man slowly rose to his feet. The crowd around him grew quiet. "Rabbi," he said, his voice barely steady, "how can a man stay strong when everything around him is falling apart?" It was the kind of question that many in the crowd had been carrying silently inside themselves. No one spoke. Jesus stopped walking. He looked at the man not with pity, but with a calm and steady kindness that seemed to say the question was worth answering fully and honestly. "A tree does not become strong because there is no wind," Jesus said. "It becomes strong because it survives the storm." He turned and pointed toward the hills where ancient olive trees stood twisted and gnarled against the sky. "The storms come," he continued. "The rain comes, the heat comes, yet they remain standing." He reached down and lifted a small handful of earth, letting it fall slowly between his fingers. "Their strength is hidden beneath the ground," he said. "Their roots go deep." The people listened without moving. Jesus continued, his voice steady and clear. "The same is true for your life. If your strength depends on good days alone, you will fall when trouble comes. But if your heart is rooted in faith, no storm can destroy you." Several people in the crowd nodded slowly, as if something long buried inside them was finally being named. Not far from the edge of the crowd, a group of Roman soldiers had paused to listen. One of them crossed his arms and let out a short laugh. "Easy words," he said. "What makes a man truly strong?" It was meant to be a challenge, perhaps even a dismissal. Jesus turned toward him without hesitation. "Not anger," he said, "not violence, not power." He let those words settle before continuing. "A strong man remains calm when others panic. He forgives when others hate. He stands when others surrender." The soldier's expression shifted. He had expected either silence or defiance. What he received instead was something far more difficult to argue against. The kind of strength Jesus described was not the strength of a sword or a rank. It was something quieter and in many ways far harder to achieve. "Anyone can be brave for a moment," Jesus said, looking now across the full crowd gathered around him. "But true strength is choosing what is right every day." No one moved. "The kind of strength that endures is not built in the easy seasons," he continued. "It is built in the difficult ones. The strongest heart is the one that trusts God even when the path is dark." A breeze moved through the olive trees on the hillside. The sun had begun its slow descent behind the hills, casting long golden light across the faces of everyone standing there. Something had shifted in the air. The man who had asked the question stood a little straighter than before. The people had come looking for answers that afternoon. What they found was a truth that has continued to inspire millions across every generation since. "Let your roots grow deep," Jesus said as he prepared to continue along the road. "Then no storm will move you." The crowd watched as he walked on, his figure growing smaller against the wide open landscape.
True strength is not the absence of struggle, it is what grows inside a person because of it.